CERT is Community Emergency Response Team. Am I supposed to look at the camera? Or
Yeah, look at the camera.
Look at the camera.
Look at the camera.
All right, can I do it again?
Yeah.
Yep, sure.
All right, me and Anthony had Unit 2 out of our book. It was fire safety and utility controls. And first I'll start out by talking about CERT's role. And CERT's role is extinguishing small fires before they become major fires, preventing additional fires by removing fuel sources, shutting off utilities when necessary and safe to do so, and assisting with evacuations when necessary. It's always important to know that the rescuer's safety is always the number one priority. Always work with a buddy and wear your safety equipment, which is like gloves, helmets, goggles, etc. As far as fire chemistry, there's 3 elements to create a fire: heat, fuel, and oxygen. There are 5 different fire classes. Class A, which is ordinary combustibles, such as paper, cloth, wood, rubber, and many plastics. Class B, flammable liquids and combustible liquids. Class C, energized electrical equipment. Class D would be combustible materials, and Class K fires would be like cooking oils.
All right, when CERT arrives on a scene and they have to put out a fire, first you have to know what type of fire it was, like Miguel said, so you can use the right type of fire extinguisher. There are a few different types. There's water extinguishers, dry chemical, carbon dioxide, and other specialized fire extinguishers. And we use the PATS method when using an extinguisher, which means first P, pull the cord from the extinguisher, aim it at the fire, squeeze the trigger, and then sweep the extinguisher at the base of the fire to effectively put it out.
So after you perform your head-to-toe assessment, we were trained to treat other different injuries. The first were burns and keeping it wrapped and cool. We were trained to never put ointment or antiseptic on it and never put ice on a burn. Next, we were trained on impaled objects and amputations. We were trained to never remove impaled objects and just to wrap around it. Fractures, we were taught how to splint using soft splints such as towels and hard splints as like a professional splint that can conform to a certain limb. And then we were taught how to use EpiPens for people that have allergic reactions and their airways close up.
We had light search and rescue, and there's 3 main points to this that we talked about in class, and that is the first part is the size up of the situation, and then you want the search aspect, and then the rescue, and we're just going to go over a little bit of that. Goals of search and rescue, you want to rescue the greatest amount of people as quickly as possible. The first people you want to get out are the walking wounded, or you want to treat the people that are immediate, that need the most help. Then you want the lightly trapped victims, people that you can get out by yourself, or it's not going to take a lot of resources. And the most important part of this situation is you want to make sure you're safe. Your safety is the most important part. If you don't feel safe, then then you should not go in. The types of damages that you want to look for are light damage, which is basic broken windows or minor damages. And then there's moderate damage, which are visual signs, but the building's still on its foundation. And then there's heavy damage, which would be like collapsing parts of the house or building, and it's off the foundation. Use a systematic search pattern so you don't keep retracing your steps. You want to stop and listen frequently so you can maybe hear somebody saying something or somebody moving. And you want to triangulate, which if you're having issues seeing people, you can get a group of 3 that go around and you form like a circle or a triangle around a specific location, flashing your flashlights in there so you can see dark spot places that are a little more difficult if you just have one person from one angle. And then you want to report those results.
All right, and then we'll kind of next
is getting trap victims out, and we learned how to leverage or crib damaged structures to lift it up to get the individual out. So kind of first things first with the leveraging and the cribbing is when you get your group, you want to put someone in charge and formulate your plan of action and decide where you're going to start cribbing from and like how you're going to leverage it up. Then you want to gather your necessary materials, then you want to stabilize the object, and then always you want to assign a person to stay with the victim and monitor their health, and assign them to be able, once you get the object lifted off them, to be able to move them out from underneath the object as quickly as possible. Kind of how you crib is you start with 2 pieces of wood, and you put them just parallel to each other, and then you keep stacking perpendicularly on top of each level every time, and then you'll have, like in our situation, we had a crowbar to use as our lever, and as you lever it, you keep adding different levels to your cribbing until you can safely get the victim out.
So we did Unit 8, which involves CERT and terrorism, and we're going to basically just explain what we did during this course. So what is terrorism? Terrorism is the unlawful use of force or violence against persons or property to intimidate or coerce a government, the civilian population, or any segment therefore in furtherance of political or social objectives. So we will also speak about what the goals are for a terrorist. Some of these may include mass casualties, loss of critical resources, disruption of vital services, disruption of the economy, and heightened fear.
Some of the terrorist weapons that are used, they're split up into 5 categories: chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and high-yield explosives. There's 8 signs of terrorism that you can spot, regular people can spot, but you should always be on the lookout. Surveillance, elicitation, test of security, funding, acquiring supplies, impersonation, rehearsal, and dry runs, and deployment. So a terrorist is going to go through all of these or some of these in preparation for their terrorist attack. And if you can spot any of these, that's a good sign that you need to contact your authorities or at least be suspicious of some unwanted behavior.
So something that we found very useful in the course that was taught to us was the ALICE training. ALICE stands for alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate.
In class, we actually went to the fire station and portrayed this scenario in multiple different ways. In the first scenario, the only thing that we were allowed to do was hide, which you're not supposed to just hide. And in hiding, Kip was able to shoot everyone with the airsoft gun. Everyone that hid, he found. In the second scenario, where we were able to fight back or evacuate or just overall follow the training, there was much more success in getting out of the room. But the scenario also changes because you never really know what you're going to get to in real life, and it's stressful. It really is stressful.
So we were in charge of the final activity. What the final activity really encompassed was it brought together a total of triage, emergency medical, with essential first aid and all that kind of stuff. So what we first did was we went in with a triage, and in the scene in the basement of the chapel, there were people lying everywhere. There were tables flipped over, chairs on top of people, and it was set up so you were arriving at the scene of an incident. So there was fake blood around, there were sticks poking out of different body parts, and everyone was yelling and screaming. It was very chaotic. So we went in, we did our triage, we took all the steps necessary, and then we came outside. We put together a plan of who was going to go where, what everybody was going to do, whether they were going to be in charge of helping certain people, someone writing things down, or an assistant.
When we first did the triage, I felt pretty overwhelmed. I mean, there was people yelling and screaming, sticks were out of their bodies, and it was just loud and you couldn't really hear, so it was hard to communicate with Gunnar and what he was saying. So it was just pretty overwhelming not being able to hear what he was trying to tell me and trying to get people's names and what they look like. After doing it, I feel a lot more comfortable and confident. Before though, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect, so, I mean, but now I'm a lot more comfortable in knowing that if some situation like this would happen, that I would know what to do or have a better understanding.
That's a great question. Our definition of leadership that we use is taking responsibility for our communities and making them better through public action. So, as Kip indicated in his response to your question, it's about citizen leadership. And the more we can prepare our citizens to be engaged and involved, that's exactly consistent with how we think about leadership here at Wartburg College.
With CERT, I think that everything we've done to this point kind of goes with both of those a lot. You know, everything we did with like experimenting, going through real-time situations when I get like just setting up situations that we might have to deal with, just learning that way. Like we did the triage. That's definitely an experience, like learning through experience, because it's something you can't really just read in a book and then all of a sudden know it. It's something through experience you have to learn and get better at over time. And then with CERT, you're just serving others the whole time. Your job is to help the community, help other people that are having issues or struggling, and that is definitely the big part of this course that we did. So.
Well, with triangular learning, there's 3 different parts. There's experiential, collaborative, and traditional. And Nancy talked about traditional. We had the lecture and the PowerPoint slides with Kip every day in class. We also had the collaborative, like Dakota talked about, you know, just being around everyone that you're not really used to being around, and just working with other people that you're not really used to is the whole part of collaborative learning. And then with experiential, you know, we really got in there. We did a lot of hands-on stuff. We did disaster medical operations, you know, actually bandaging people up. And, you know, we worked with actually putting out fires, and we actually worked with being in a classroom, simulating a gun scenario, and just all 3 of those parts of triangulated learning were really, you know, hit with this class. But, you know, there's so much more than just that to triangulated learning. There's reflection and getting out of your comfort zone, and I think the getting out of the comfort zone was the biggest one, just because that's a huge part of leadership. You know, everything's not going to be sunshines and rainbows every day, and so you really have to be able to go into unique situations and be able to react accordingly, and I think that's one thing that CERT in this class have really helped with.
The most successful aspect of my CERT experience was the peer learning that this whole class did together. We all had different experiences that we brought to this class and we shared with each other, which helped improve some of our understandings of things that are happening out there in the world currently. And I feel that just not only just doing the traditional learning where we had teachers, people from the community just teaching us and reading from the books, making us understand from that aspect what we might deal with, but just having people with experience in terms of our peers that make it just that a little bit closer to what, you know, just that little bit closer to us and making us understand it all.
I think the most successful aspect was the hands-on training and just the preparedness that we all gained from taking the class. I mean, by no means are any of us experts in CERT or anything like that, but we are more prepared than someone who hasn't gone through this course or hasn't had any of this training, and it'll allow us to step up a little bit as leaders going into a situation that people aren't familiar with, and kind of when you get in that little, when fit hits the shan, as Kip likes to say all the time, you know, we'll be the ones who can step up and try and organize a group and get triages going and get everything kind of lined up that other people wouldn't be able to do.
One thing I would change would be the amount of time that we had. I think that with this class and everything that we've done, it'd be really great to have this just be one class instead of meeting once a week on Tuesday, Thursday, just meet the entire semester and just be able to hit on everything for a little bit longer and just go through everything for a whole semester.
The things that I would say for us to improve on or to change would be more like hands-on experiences. I mean, there's days where we had long lectures, which I didn't mind, not just Kip in any way, but I would say more hands-on because I'm more of like a visual learner and hands-on.
Through this class, we covered traditional learning by going through the CERT textbook. Each period we got together, we went through a unit and looked at PowerPoint slides through the textbook, listened to lectures from Kip or people in the community that helped us learn in a traditional aspect.
This class connected to peer learning just because it was an ID class. I got to work with people that I'd never really worked with before. People with different mindsets, different majors, and a different way of thinking. So in a general sense, it taught me how to work well with people that are just different than me and just putting me into a new situation where I was able to learn with different people.
My understanding of leadership is that you know, anybody can be a leader. So like for CERT example, I mean, you never know, you could come across an accident on the interstate and you could be the first one to arrive to the situation, and you know, you're gonna have to take charge. You're gonna have to be the leader of that situation. You're gonna need someone to call 911. You're gonna have to go assess the person who's injured. So you know, you never know when it could happen, and I feel like this has helped me reach that point where I could help an individual.
ID315 has really questioned a lot about leadership in my own personal experience. One big thing that I've taken out of this whole class is figuring out your role versus yourself. And in CERT, I kind of learned that everyone wants to be the big dog, but everyone also plays a role, and understanding and accepting that role can sometimes be more beneficial to the group than being the hero or being, you know, the one that does everything. And that's hard for me to grasp because I've always tried to take everything, just head through the wall, just going through it, trying to take it on all me, and learning that you can step back and let others help you and delegate things that you're not good at has really helped me discover leadership in my own personal experience. And I think CERT has done that in everything that they have taught, and I've learned through it.
Through the CERT class, you're going to see something, you're going to learn something or experience something that chances are you've not learned before or been through, and give it a chance. If nothing else, if you never want to join the bigger team and you just have it for your own use, if somebody in your family gets hurt, you still learn something from it.